Hello everyone, good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in. My name is Lyons. I'm one of the nurse practitioners here in electrophysiology and cardiology here at Mount Sinai, South Nassau. Here at Mount Sinai, South Nassau, our dynamic team of cardiologists, nurse practitioners, highly skilled cardiac care nurses and other dedicated professionals here are here to help you. In my role, my team and I encounter and counsel countless patients who suffer from cardiovascular disease. Since September is Cholesterol Awareness Month, I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about this very important topic. Well, what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is a waxy, fat-like substance that circulates throughout our body. We all have it, and actually we can't get rid of it all. It's just sometimes people have a little bit too much cholesterol circulating through their body, and that poses the problem. Actually, cholesterol is pretty good for us too. We actually need it for essential bodily processes. But compared with people with normal cholesterol and those with high cholesterol have greater risks of developing cardiovascular disease, stroke, as well as a myriad of other health problems. You all may be familiar with the term lipids. Lipids is generally, it includes cholesterol and triglycerides, although there are other types of lipids. A routine lipid panel can be routinely drawn by your primary care physician and can be obtained in most acute primary care settings. A standard lipid test is a vial of blood that is usually taken via venipuncture. And it measures the total cholesterol, the LDLs, or your low-density lipoproteins, the HDLs, which is your high-density lipoproteins, triglycerides. And in the type of cholesterol, which we'll get to in a little bit, the HDLs is very, very important. So to ensure accurate results for this lab draw, your physician may actually request that you abstain from eating for about 8 to 12 hours prior to the test to obtain the most accurate results. So now that we have the labs drawn, we want to know really what our numbers are. It's very important to know what the numbers are because 1 in about every 3 Americans actually have high cholesterol. So you really want to be on top of your game and have that partnership with your physician, your practitioner. Over here, I'd like to just show you a little bit of the ideal numbers, and you want to know these, okay? So let's just talk a little bit about the total cholesterol, which is the combined total cholesterol that circulates throughout our bloodstream. Ideally, you want to be below 200, okay? LDLs, which some people actually call the bad cholesterol, okay, or the low-density lipoproteins, okay? Now, these are the actual, the main culprits that cause the heart attacks, the strokes. These fats circulate throughout the blood and collect on the coronary arteries. Over time, these coronary arteries become inundated with plaques. These deposits that cause narrowing of the circulatory system in the coronary arteries, and over time can obstruct and cause a lack of oxygen to vital heart tissues. So HDLs are a good type of cholesterols. And in these situations, we want a really good ratio of these because not all cholesterol is bad, right? In situations when you have a good ratio of high cholesterol, some people call this, again, good cholesterol, but it allows the processing and the breakdown and the transfer of bad cholesterols to the liver for breakdown. So it's very important to have good high numbers and low numbers of the LDLs. Triglycerides, they're another type of fat. And they actually also do have associated risk of heart attacks and strokes. So we want to make sure that our triglycerides are below 150. Okay. But as far as guidelines, I just want to talk a little bit about the guidelines. In the American Heart Association, even though initial screening is usually done in childhood and should again be repeated when you're 18 years old in adulthood, the American Heart Association recommends that all adults 20 years or older routinely get their labs checked in intervals of about 4 to 6 years. And obviously the results of those labs will actually guide your practitioner as far as the frequency at which they should be drawn. After you're about 40 years of age, your physician may use a specialized equation or an algorithm in order to determine your 10-year cardiovascular disease risk. But you also, besides all of that, you want to know your family history. Again, you want to be a proactive partner in your care. Okay? So you want to know your family history. Some people manufacture cholesterol. They manufacture the stuff. I know I do. I try to do my best, and I try to exercise, and I try to do all the right things, but sometimes it does not matter. You have to take special care. You have to be on top of things. So there may be a genetic predisposition to having high cholesterol, and given health complications that follow, it makes sense to really be on top of your game here. So according to the American Heart Association, and again, the diet is one thing, and I will get to that in just a second, but the American Heart Association says exercise is so important, all right? And the incorporation of medications, which I'll also get to in a minute, doesn't exclude you from exercising, eating right, and doing the right things. 150 minutes, guys, 150 minutes of moderate to intense activity weekly is all you need really to drop your high cholesterol. Lower those numbers. Very important. Okay? Diets. Look at what we got right here. Absolutely phenomenal. All right? Diets like the DASH diet, heart healthy diets, limiting the amount of red meat in your diet, dairy that's processed with whole milks, increasing fruits and vegetables into your diets, fibers, fish, things of that nature are so important to increase the good cholesterol and keep your heart healthy. So, no smoking. All right, we counsel people every day on no smoking, and it's one of the most the greatest contributors of heart disease and plaque formation. Maintain a healthy weight. All right, all these things you've tried, you've spoken with your physician. Sometimes it's necessary to incorporate a pharmaceutical approach and incorporate medications. Okay, what's the one thing that we probably have all heard of? Statins. Statins, like simvastatin, atorvastatin, rosuvastatin. These medications are actually the best studied and most commonly used in lowering the number of LDLs. They work by decreasing the body's production of cholesterol via the liver. And after starting the statin, you really want those numbers, this LDL, to be below 70. So, I mean, there's just so much information, and I have limited amount of time, but I encourage you all to really visit the American Heart Association site. They have a wealth of knowledge there, things that that I'm not able to get to right now, but you can pick up there. There's a wealth of knowledge there, so I encourage you to go over to that site and stay informed, stay in the know. So when it comes to cholesterol, I want you to remember these three things. Check, change, and control. Check your cholesterol levels. It's key to know your numbers. Change your diet, your lifestyle, and improve your levels. Control your cholesterol with the help of your physician and your interdisciplinary team. Okay? Mount Sinai Heart is here at Mount Sinai, South Nassau. For questions about heart health and cholesterol, please visit southnassau.org and search cardiac care or call 516-632-3670 to schedule an appointment. Remember, guys, it's up to you. Okay? It's up to you to take control of your health, make healthier and more informed, educated choices. Okay? Now, I'd like to welcome our renowned chef, Steve Bello, and our chief dietitian, Mary Graffinino from Mount Sinai, South Nassau, who are creating heart-healthy, cholesterol-friendly meals on the daily. All right? Thank you guys so much. Chef?
Thank you, Eric. That was really awesome. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and celebrating National Cholesterol Awareness Month. My name is Mary Graffinino. I'm the Clinical Nutrition Manager, along with Executive Chef Stephen Bello. We're really happy to be here today. We have some great tips on healthy eating and nutrition. I am the Clinical Nutrition Manager, and I'm really proud to say I work with a dedicated staff of professionals every day, and we encourage people to be healthy, promote wellness, and educate not only our patients but our community. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Stephen Bello to do his introduction.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is really exciting. It proves that you can cook healthy and things don't have to be bland. They can be vibrant in color, they can be flavorful, and that's one of the things that we're going to show today. My responsibilities here at Mount Sinai South Nassau is patient satisfaction when it comes to food. I work hand in hand with Mary every single day. It's really critical that the chief dietitian and the executive chef work well together. And we're constantly developing recipes. Mary will analyze them. We'll talk about what we can do to kind of bring some of the numbers down. And at the end of the day, we come out with a really solid product. Another responsibility that I have here at the hospital is to consistently train my culinary team, to help them grow, to keep them cutting edge on what's new in the market. You can't produce a quality product if you don't buy quality ingredients. So it all starts with the ingredients. When we were looking at ways, what we can produce today for this live Facebook, I thought, you know what? Because the seasons always drive me mad. What am I cooking? What is my cooking method? So I thought, why don't we do a soup? It's fall, and we're working with apples. So, the recipe we're going to do here today is a chicken soup with orzo and apples. Now, chicken soup to me is near and dear to my heart because I remember when I was a little kid, my grandmother would make chicken soup, and it always made me feel better. And we actually have here at the hospital grandma's chicken soup that we serve to the patients. And that soup is rich, it's robust. We make all our soups and sauces from scratch here because we understand the importance of that. Even if a patient can only have broth, we want them to have a flavorful broth that will help them recover. Because, as you know, Mary, food plays a major role in the recovery of patients. We want to entice their appetite and give them some nutrients to help them get better and move on.
It's a great recipe, along with a lot of other things that you see on display. And I would like to give a shout out to Stephen for all his hard work with this display, and along with his wife Debbie. And if you could smell the fragrant aroma of all the fresh herbs that he was going to use for the soup, I'm sorry that you're on Facebook Live and you can't actually smell it, but I can tell you that it smells delicious. So, being as a dietitian, what's so important with our soups is that they are made from scratch, and we do use very little added salt and a lot of herbs for flavor. So, as Eric poignantly pointed out about your cholesterol, watching your diet is a really big factor in terms of making sure that you remain healthy and watching your numbers. That's a really important fact that we talk about, not only for our patients, but ourselves and our colleagues. So making sure you go to the doctor and not put your health on hold is a campaign that we tell our patients and our community. During COVID-19, it's so important to make sure that you stay up to date with your doctor's appointments, know what your numbers are. So the numbers that Eric had pointed out earlier, your total cholesterol should be less than 200. And also, just please note that that's for adults, and children can also have high cholesterol, and their cholesterol should be 170 or below. So that's another good point. We talked about adults with cholesterol, high cholesterol and high lipids, but that's something that we should also point out.
Mary, you touched upon, we went through COVID and this pandemic and all, and how it has drastically changed my end of the business. I mean, just how we do business on a day-to-day basis. We try and keep things individually wrapped. If we have food out, it'll be served. We don't want a lot of hands in. We had a salad bar that we removed. Now everything's individually grab and go. It's the new normal for us, and I think it's a good thing.
It is, and don't forget with COVID, it's a concern for everybody. I know everyone has heard of the freshman 15, so now we're discussing the COVID-19. I'm sorry, COVID-15 rather. So typical college students go away for the first time and they gain 15 pounds. Now with COVID-19, it's the COVID-15 for weight gain. So make sure that you stay on top of it.
So Mary, I think what I'm going to do is, because the soup needs a little time to simmer and so forth, so I'm going to start the soup up. And again, I can't stress the importance. When you're putting a recipe together, ingredients, fresh ingredients. Many times I'll go to the store, and those ingredients that are on the shelf are going to dictate to me what I'm going to create. So even though I have a standard recipe here, don't be afraid to change it up. So I have my pot, nice heavy pot. I have very, very little bit of olive oil in there. And because of the time restraints, I've already blanched my chicken, so I pre-cooked it, and I'm going to add that into the pot. And you can hear, hopefully you can hear the sizzle, because when you're cooking, you want it to talk to you. You want to hear that there's lots of heat. That when I add my vegetables to this, Mary, I want to caramelize them lightly and let them become translucent. There's a process of making the soup.
And it's also white meat chicken without the skin. It's not fried, and it was baked, so that reduces the amount of overall cholesterol and fat.
And the other thing you can do too is if you had some leftover chicken breast, right, that you grilled, great element of flavor, that little smokiness from the grill. So I have the chicken in here. I'm going to add some onions.
So know that your cholesterol is also something to obviously to know your numbers, because it is a controllable risk factor for the most part. Like Eric said, knowing your numbers is important, and if your cholesterol numbers don't improve with diet and exercise and weight, there's always the second option of talking to your physician about possibly needing some extra assistance with medication. So as Eric was saying, cholesterol is a waxy substance in our arteries that can build up over time with a high-fat diet. So it's something to be aware of, that you want to know not only your cholesterol, but your HDL and LDL. And I have to say, a lot of people get confused with the difference of HDL and LDL. So you can remember H means high, stance goes with high. So you remember the higher the better. So the numbers behind me, the HDL greater than 50. So you want that number to be as high as possible, and the LDL begins with L, so you want that to be as low as possible. And overall, triglycerides of 150 and below is also part of the lipid panel that you get done with your physical.
So back to the recipe, I added my leeks, Mary, I added my celery. Don't be afraid to use the celery leaves. I love these things, especially when I'm making stock. Throw the leaves in, they're so fragrant and they have so much flavor. So I got my celery leaves in here. You know, in the recipe I said the carrots were diced. Well, when I was setting up the ingredient line, I didn't feel like dicing them. I wanted to do like a nice julienne. Different textures, different look. So I got my carrots in here, and you know, let that cook a little bit. And I prepared a nice, practically no fat, low fat chicken stock. I don't want to use any kind of bouillon or commercial base. So
those commercial bases are very high in sodium, so make sure that you're aware of your sodium content also. You want to stick to about 2,000 milligrams a day.
And then what I do though, you know, I'll make the stock, I'll refrigerate it, and then whatever little bit of fat is left, it'll come to the top, I'll skim it off, and this way I'm really being mindful of any excess fat that I'm going to put into my system or into someone else's system.
And what's great about the recipe, if you think about a heart healthy diet, is high in fruits and vegetables. So you don't get cholesterol from fruits and vegetables. So the way you ingest cholesterol is through red meat, full dairy, and cheeses. So watching the kind of meat that you eat, reduce the amount of red meat overall, take the skin off your poultry before you cook it. Lots of fish and lots of fruits and vegetables. So what's great about following a low-fat diet is that it's already a low-cholesterol diet. They do go hand in hand. And increasing your fruits and vegetables also means increasing your fiber intake. I know there's a lot of numbers being thrown out, but the amount of fiber you want to get into your diet is between 25 and 30 grams per day, which is a lot. And the way to do that is to incorporate fruits and vegetables. hence the soup.
So I don't know if the camera can get that, but you got some caramelization going on in the bottom of this pot. That, we call that fond. So I want that. I want that in the soup. It's going to give me color. Bottom of the pot. So I'm going to add my chicken stock. About 2 quarts. And we're going to let this simmer. The recipe says 30 minutes. We don't have 30 minutes, so we're going to just cover that up. And then what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some of the other things that we've prepared here today.
So I'm going to go over milk. So this is 2 containers of milk. They're 2 different colors. One is fat-free and one is whole milk. So let the nutrition label be your friend. It has saturated fat, it has trans fat, it has total fat, calories, protein. So the difference between fat-free milk and whole milk is the amount of grams of fat and cholesterol per 8 ounces. So this is an 8-ounce container and there's 90 calories and 0 grams of fat, where this is 150 calories and 8 grams of fat. So just changing the type of milk you use reduces 8 grams overall. It is a big difference. And for a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet, you want to have about 50 grams of fat per day. And your recipe only has 7 for a 6-ounce serving.
So some of the other things that we have here is, I have homemade applesauce. We happened to go out to the apple orchards a couple weeks ago. My wife loves it. And she actually made that applesauce last night, because we don't buy pre-made applesauce in my house. It's always homemade applesauce. So thank you, Debbie, for your... We also have here what I call a Matilda sandwich, a healthy version. So we have grilled chicken breast. We have arugula, and I love arugula on a sandwich. It's that earthy, nutty flavor, just gives it a little extra kick. And very, very small slice of brie. And sliced Granny Smith apples. We have this on our menu in the cafeteria. We don't always serve it on 7 grain a whole week. We serve it on usually a baguette. And then we make a fig aioli with it, which is like a mayonnaise-based fig jam. But what I did was I used yogurt and the fig jam. And I called Mary after I made it. I'm like, this actually tastes really good.
It's good. It's excellent. Delicious.
So, great sandwich. Again, the smokiness of the grilled chicken, the arugula, the sweetness of the fig aioli, and the creaminess of the brie. It's a home run.
And I'm happy that he didn't use the mayonnaise. So if you think about mayonnaise on a sandwich, if you actually measure it out, it's a lot bigger of a portion than you would think when you spread it on the bread. So if you were to actually measure it, it's probably about 1 tablespoon, which is 10 grams of fat. So if you're following a low cholesterol, low fat diet, and you're supposed to have approximately 50 grams of fat per day, you've already had 10 just from mayonnaise. So what I do a lot at home, and I think my family is sick of this when I make sandwiches, is turkey on light bread with arugula, a slice of apple, and then I use a little bit of barbecue sauce in replacement of the mayonnaise.
You would tell me about that. It sounds absolutely delicious.
And it is. It's delicious. So it's a great way to cut down on the amount of fat, just like you did with your yogurt.
We also have an apple pie yogurt parfait here. It's got low-fat granola in it. It has no-fat yogurt, combination of apples and cinnamon. Just a nice, refreshing snack. And a lot of times I think of kids too, Let's give them snacks that are healthy and appealing, and let's educate their palate at a young age. And also when I think about kids, Mary, I think about these apple nachos. So we just took like a bunch of different types of apples, a little white chocolate, a little caramel. I would imagine very light on the fat, you get some sugar going on because of the caramel. But again, there's a little bit there, and if I was going to do this for kids, I would do it on an individual portion. So I'm going to actually bounce back over here because I want to finish the soup and plate it out. So the soup's been simmering.
So as you're incorporating all these healthy items into your diet, remember that foods that are colorful are filled with multiple vitamins that are healthy for us. They're also considered low fat, which is great. And following a low fat diet is typically lowering calories. So it also can help with your weight. If you're overweight, please be aware of what your BMI is and follow a low fat, low cholesterol diet to help with modification for your weight, helps overall with your cholesterol level. We're also happy to answer any questions that you have on Facebook Live.
So Mary, I've just added the Orzo. I'm going to add the diced apple. I add the apple right at the end because I want the apple to be crunchy. And again, different textures, you don't want everything soft.
Is this something that you can freeze, Stephen?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's also another nice added bonus is when you're able to cook in quantity and freeze, especially during COVID-19 when parents are homeschooling your children, working full-time, it's very stressful, trying to work out. These are all issues that come up that sabotage our health. So batch cooking is something that's always a bonus when you have it in your freezer and you can pull it out at the last minute to have for dinner.
So I just added the apple, fresh chopped parsley. You can add chive if you'd like. Again, we use a lot of herbs because we need ways to create flavor without the use of fat.
So you can find the recipe on southnassa.org/healthy recipes. Stephen has a repertoire of wonderful recipes available. And it's so nice to work with him because I love and enjoy all the samples.
It's a pleasure working with you too, Mary, because you educate me every single day. Look at that soup. I mean, would you want to come home from work and have a bowl of soup like that?
Yes, I would actually.
Absolutely delicious. So,
Again, we welcome your questions. And may everyone stay healthy, check your numbers, get to the doctor, get your flu shot, and continue to eat healthy.
absolutely.